Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of October 14th, where this week out the gate, the relationship world is really under a lot of pressure. And the word that continues to come up, especially as we are going to experience this full moon underneath the influence of a grand cross, is resentment. Resentment. And where do we have resentment in our relationships? Where do we have resentment in our body? And I want to be clear, I want to share this because this was shared with me, that resentment doesn't always mean that I am angry about it or it comes attached with that feeling of being angry. A resentment is anything that I resend to myself, resentment over and over and over again. So the things I'm thinking about, I'm obsessing about, the stories that I'm still telling 15, 20 years later, the medical issues that I'm still inside of, these things can be our stories of resentment. And this is going to be a huge theme of what we are working with. And many of you are already feeling the tension of this resentment and under this relationship pressuresome kind of energy. You're already feeling it. Now, if you have not watched my video about the full moon coming in Aries, which is just going to be happening this week, please make sure you check it out and put it on podcast style, because I did a nice in-depth breakdown of it. As well, I put links so that you can find out how it's going to impact your particular chart by house. So there is full resource available for you to see how to navigate this, because this is a challenging time. This one is hard, okay? So let's jump in here and talk about what is going on with this week. Before we do that, if you haven't gotten your 2025 digital transit calendars, they are ready from our friend Tiffany Harlick, and you can click in the description box down below and grab that. And if you're not signed up for my last live 5-day YouTube challenge that is starting November 2nd, I would love to have you in class, helping you see how to build your YouTube channel, add it as a resource to your business. Whether you have a channel, you have an idea, or you don't, if you want to see specifically how to allow your channel to not only make videos that get found, but learn how to speak to the algorithm, because just being you, just being great is not going to work in the digital revolution. You have to learn to speak and allow the bots to speak to the bots to help you be successful. And I want to help you do that and live the life that you want to and have the revenue that you want in your life as well. So all of that's in the description box down below. All right, into the week we go. First of all, let's have our quote of the week. Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Man, breathe that in for a minute, because that is really something to think about. How many times have I thought about one particular thing, whether I'm angry or not, but it is definitely living in my being, in my body, in my mind, rent free, and I am waiting for the other party to suffer the consequences. No. Okay, so here's our thought of the week. As you move through this week, notice if certain relationships trigger negative feelings. Choose to set boundaries or to let go of old pain that no longer serves you. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to let go of resentment and choose peace instead? Man, powerful questions guiding us into this week, guiding us into the thoughts and the reminder that resentment is a hidden wound, and it just festers below the surface until it gets acknowledged and actualized, until it presents itself. And then and only then can we confront the truth of something that has been sticking with us. And this grand cross that we are already seeing it move into place is pushing that to the surface. So whatever that is for you, as it gets pushed to the surface, go on the healing journey, go on the path, tell the truth, the nasty, ugly truth about what it is you're upset about, you keep thinking about, and allow yourself to move towards the path of peace. That's really the way to rock and roll. Okay, as we are here on Monday, and we're coming in Monday, first of all, we're coming in the moon energies, still in the vibration of Pisces. So on our moon day, we're coming in a water energy, which also gives us the signature that coming into this week, we are coming in much more emotional. But not only are we coming in much more emotional, we're coming in with the idea of transmission, of transformation, of surrender, of transcendence, of releasing, right? In that Pisces energy, it's the all-seeing, the great womb where everything's everything. You needed the hurt in order to have the help. You needed the help in order to provide the help. You needed all of the things. Everything becomes everything in your story in the great wound. And it all comes here for healing and for release, because something new will be birthed later. So as we are coming into this week in that Pisces energy, we want to know that we're coming into this week quite emotional, which means it could also be feeling a little bit more vulnerable to you. So as you're coming in this week, take it easy. This week, we may be in reflection as we're coming into the week on victims, or where the word victim plays into your life. Where have you felt like a victim? Where are we grieving for victims of the present, of the past? Where does the word forgiveness, unconditional love, charity, where do these words need to come up for you? But either way, it's pretty raw and pretty exposed as we get started. Right behind that, we're going to see that the sun is in a square to Mars. Okay. So we've got our motivating energy of the sun squaring against this Mars energy, what I'm doing. And Mars is in Cancer at this time. So also highly, highly emotionally charged energy here. So there is a restlessness. There is a vulnerability. There is an irritability that is in our vibration as we are coming in on Monday. And even if you have managed to become cool as a cucumber, you're living your best life, you've got your emotions in check, which I want for all of us, to be there. We have to remember that the other people in the world outside of us are also susceptible. No one is exempt from experiencing these energies. So this place of restlessness, of discontent, of I want to fight for something, I will fight to the death for something, this place of just high energy irritation, because the square is going to make it feel like in some way, what I want to start, where I want to go, what I want to do next, this relationship is crushing me in some way. And so that Mars in Cancer, I will fight to the death. I will fight to the death to be right. I will fight to the death to have my needs met. Whatever it is, that is starting to get pushed into a resentment, and it's going to start pushing up towards the surface. So we want to be mindful of what's happening in our relationships as we're coming in already, like I said, quite vulnerable. And with Mars here in this particular square, under all this vulnerability, the ability for things to become, and I'm going to just put this in quotes because it's what it means for your life, but the ability for things to become dangerous is really very high. So yes, is it dangerous to go out and take action in public, or to play with fire, or any of these kinds of things that we can identify as obviously dangerous? Yes, those are dangerous things. But other things that can be dangerous are to share that resentment in that particular way with your spouse or your children, because the danger is that in one moment, you could tear down your whole life with one phrase. Now, the other challenge to that is, right, as we continue to go and grow through this week and certainly into next week, where do you need to speak up for something that is an emotional need that's not being met, or a boundary that's being crossed? And you've got to say the hard thing. There is never the right time to say the thing that's going to change everything, right? There's never the right time. It's hard to find the right time. So where does that also need to be said this week? And it just will change the course of everything. So my caution to you here is don't create problems to create problems. And don't be as emotionally impulsive as Mars in Cancer can be. Instead, if you can take a moment here, if you can pause, if you can pack your patience pack on this day and be sure of the action that you want to take, of the direction that you want to go, because this is a cardinal square. So the action that you take here on Monday will kick you into a new direction, whatever that particular action may be. Now, later in the day, we've got Venus in an opposition to Uranus. So Venus being our planet here of relationships in general, Venus is under opposition. So we can sense that our relationships, our being, how we relate, is under opposition. Okay, we're going to be feeling the tension. We're going to be feeling the pull of this. But Venus is also over things like how we attract money and other opportunities to us as well. So these can be areas where you feel like there's it's a lot more tense in that particular vibration. Now, as Venus is in an opposition to Uranus, first of all, let's remember that Uranus is retrograde, okay? So Uranus is looking back at something in your Taurus area of your chart, also ruled by Venus. So something in your relationship, something in your values, something in your self-worth, something in your actual material assets and your money that you're looking back over, you're looking around and you're going, okay, well now wait a minute, what needs to be adjusted? Which one of these things don't I value anymore because it's not allowing me freedom? I want freedom where Uranus is at, but I have to do something or value something differently in order to have this particular brand of freedom available for me. So as we see Venus opposing that Uranian energy, you might have also been searching for quite some time to what do I need to do? What do I need to say? What do I need to learn in order to have a different or surprisingly different sometimes experience, and that's that Uranian vibration. So what we don't want to do with Venus in this opposition to Uranus is continue to make the opposition bigger, right? Everything has a purpose. I wouldn't be asking what is the purpose of this situation. You've already been through the 5 lifetimes of story as to why you're still engaging what you're dealing with. At a certain point, we have to go, okay, what is my goal? Because a goal will bring integration together. And if the goal this week is to be free and to be free of resentment, what actions will have to happen to bring that Venus and that Uranus together? What unexpected circumstances are actually the portal and the vehicle to your own freedom, right? How is this going to work out for you that you can actually take really delicious advantage of that? Now, the other thing I do want to say is that I think that oftentimes when this opposition comes to play, it doesn't have to be negative. It's just under a lot of tension right now. And that upset that I was addressing before, where maybe you have to have the conversation about the resentment and you have to talk about what's been there, the thorn in the tiger's paw, in order to release some of the tension. But again, the question for me with this aspect for you around your relationships, around your money, around any of those things is what's the goal? Are you looking to bring something together and create freedom? Or are you looking to push something apart, right? Is it about we, or is it about just the me, only the me, right? So we're going to have an opportunity to look at that. Now, I can tell you that I think that financially and relationship-wise, especially with Venus involved here, if your relationship is relatively healthy, right? I think that this energy may feel tense. There may be some smaller conversations that rise to the surface and you have to have those. Or, you kind of, you're like, I don't know, man, we're just on each other's nerves today. Let's just head a different direction for a few hours. You come back together and it's no big deal. The relationships where the cracks are too deep or honesty cannot be brought to the table to deal with resentment in the vein of healing it, I think that those relationships will break up. And the thing to know is that it is the destiny for that relationship to end as it will, because as much of the lesson that can be done about partnership and forgiveness may be finding itself at an end, okay? If you happen to have Venus or Uranus in the 12th house of your particular chart, I would also be looking at what you can come to know, whether it be surprisingly or the information just presents itself. What can you come to know that has just been behind the scenes, right? Have you been having an emotional affair? Have you been spending money and not sharing that with your partner? Have you been spending money and not sharing that with your business partner? What's been going on behind the scenes that maybe is blocking a little bit of a blessing? So let me know in the comment section down below, for those of you who are experiencing this in the 12th house capacity, what that is looking like for you and what's being revealed to you, or maybe inside of a partnership, okay? As we get to Tuesday, we're going to get later in the day. We're going to get around 2 p.m. to 2:33 p.m. and this is Mountain Time, Colorado. So make sure you adjust your clocks. And we're going to have just a 33-minute moon void of course energy. And I would encourage you, as we're coming in on such a lunar, emotional week, to rest. take it. Give yourself 33 glorious minutes to rest, not start anything new. Just refresh yourself. Have a little cucumber rose spray to your face and let it go for just a few minutes. Allow your neurological system to rest, right? And it can be a great time for some of you to evaluate honestly what your relationship with rest is right now. Do you have an active and healthy relationship with rest? If not, what can you do to bring that in a little bit closer? Is there a meditation? Are you allowed to give yourself permission to have a nap or something like that that's not really very technical? Right? It's just about rest. How do I rest? I think this can be a great energy to explore that. Just after that, at that 2:33 p.m., we'll see the moon move into Aries, and the energy is churning up. It's churning up. It's churning up. It's churning up because that grand cross in the sky that I talk about in the full moon in Aries video, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter at this particular time. So now as the moon is traveling through the vibration of Aries, first of all, we want to do that once a month check-in to go, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to express, right? We're talking all about resentment this week. What do I need to express, or what do I need to say or share, especially emotionally, so that I'm not caving in on myself? What do I need to share or express, but I also need to be mindful so that I'm not living in selfishness? How do I express that in a way that is going to be about creating peace, creating change of direction, not just about me, right? Because we cannot be in our relationships, since that's the theme this week, and resentment, we cannot be in our relationships and make our load lighter by just making theirs heavier for the sake of it, right? So these are going to be so dynamic this week. It's so dynamic. So in the spice of life that this Aries moon is going to bring to the table, I think it's a great time to say, where do I need to just make an adjustment? But I need to express it because fire needs to say it. My own emotional fire is somehow going out. So what do I need to tell the truth about, right? And support yourself. We decided on cinnamon as a nice Aries herb, chili, cardamom, mustard. Bring a little spice even into your own energy and let those herbs support you with being in contact with your own personal fire, okay? Later in the day, Venus now in a trine to Neptune. I tend to like the Bopsy twins together. I like them. That's what I call them. Venus and Neptune, because it's said that Neptune is just the higher vibration or the higher octave of Neptune. Did I say that? So Neptune is the higher octave or vibration of Venus, and I tend to like them together. However, they can sometimes be too much. It's like too much of a good thing is going on here. And in a trine aspect, they have open access to each other, right? So they're like, just let the goodness roll. Laissez le bon temps rouler, right? Like we get a little bit of that. So the Bopsy twins can be doing the most, too much. So you do have to be mindful with this particular aspect as well. But one of the things that I think we can see it for in how to use it is where your relationships are at and where you need to express something, or you need to express Neptune forgiveness, unconditional love. Both parts of you here get to work, right? Like you've seen a lot in this last couple of days, the energy is high. So here, what you need to talk about, what you need to express, maybe even what you're calling in, whether it's money, whether it's the relationship, the children, whatever, you might not want to fight about it. You're like, I don't want to fight. I want peace. I want serenity here. My vitality stems from trying to take actions that will bring freedom, that will bring serenity and peace into my life and into your life. So there's a little bit more of a surreal energy here that's like, yeah, I got to do all of these things, but it maybe doesn't have to be done in all of the electric dramatics that maybe I think it has to come with. Now, the other side of this that I think is really cool is that if something has to happen, or it does happen, where it's like somebody says the thing, right? And it rips that Band-Aid off. So now we've had a little mini explosion. Venus and Neptune here come to the deep understanding that sometimes you have to have that breakdown in order to honestly have that breakthrough, that it was under too much pressure. There wasn't going to be any more relaxation. There wasn't going to be any more compassion. There wasn't going to be any more romance if we didn't have the top pop a little bit. So the top pop is not always the end of the lesson. Sometimes it's that it had to happen so that we can increase tenderness, we can increase compassion, and be able to move forward in a way where it's like, okay, I see how what I've been doing, what I've been thinking, how I've been moving is actually creating damage, and I don't want that anymore. For my artists, for my performers, this is a fantastic energy. Do art, create, howl at the moon, do you. This is a wonderful energy for them. Now, this energy is going to carry us all the way through Wednesday, okay? Now, when we get to Thursday, we've got this full moon happening at 24 degrees of Aries. I mean it. Please go back and watch the very full video that I did for you guys. I broke down so many aspects and gave you that additional resource for some help so you can see it in your own particular chart. Please go check it out. But as we are going to have this full moon, first of all, you want to find 24 degrees of Aries in your particular chart. See what house that's happening in for you. And then you're going to want to acknowledge from the other video where the cardinal points are also pulling in your chart, because it is showing you where something is being asked to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. And these adjustments, again, just as a refresh, are coming from things that started April 20th of 2023. So go back in your life. What was starting at that time? You were planting seeds of intention to begin something at that time. And by the time we got to January of 2024, in your relationships with your money, these places where resentment maybe boiling over for you, you were in action. You would have really been moving, tearing down something, building something else out, future-minded. And now as we're here at this full moon, it's like it's time to pivot. You have to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. And it's all about making your pivot forward. But the other thing I want to call to you here is, yes, this energy has been a lot, particularly, I think, coming into this week. But I also don't want you to forget to celebrate, because it's not all about do better, do better, do better. What have you done well with your relationships, with your money, with the areas of your chart where Aries is at? Where have you found your voice? We don't find all of our courage on Tuesday, even if it's been a year and a half. Sometimes we're working into courage, right? Like, courage is just fear that said its prayers and tried a different action. That's it. So where have you grown? Where have you learned to take and be more assertive with yourself, with your voice, with your being, with your body, with your diet? Reflect on that today, because in your assertion and coming more fully into your Aries dynamic, which is still where this North Node has been traveling, you have created a space to navigate your own freedom, to demand some level of freedom, because Aries says, I deserve to be, I deserve to have, damn it, right? And Aries does that in a way that is fast. And it is, I cut away because this doesn't work. So I want you to take a time to celebrate here as well, where you have already grown in so much of this Aries work that you have done. Now, the other just slight thing that I want to put to your attention is if you happen to be one of our friends that suffers with high heat in your body in some way, maybe you're doing menopause, you get the night sweats, anything like that. If you have high blood pressure, high blood flow, things like that, I just want you to be mindful of like not getting your pressures too high. And I'm also being shown here pressures in your eyes. If you've got something going on with your eyes, make sure you're getting your pressures checked, or you're keeping your ojos under control here, okay? Now, just behind that, we see Venus in the sextile to Pluto, which is actually a part of this lunation as well. Venus is at 29 degrees, and we've also got Pluto at 29 degrees. So these are the big kids at the table having a conversation. You know how they used to say, be quiet, the adults are talking, which I didn't love, but still I understand the sentiment today. This is that, okay? Because Venus is in her full grown-up mode at 29 degrees of Pluto. She's like, I don't want to have a single conversation that is cute. I want to have a conversation that is concise, that is honest, that is at the level of motivation of what I've been doing, what I've been thinking, where I've been healing, what I need. I want to talk about sex. I want to talk about my body. I want to talk about my reproductive things, right? In Scorpio, we want to talk about the things that maybe have seemed too taboo to talk about. And sometimes that is, what do I need emotionally to be plugged in and really successful? And this is in a sextile to Pluto. This is not the sextile hand, like I don't speak ASL. This is not it. I don't think that's how they say that, but that felt good. So we have Pluto over here at 29 Capricorn, and Pluto is vibrating, right? It is pulsing with its last moments of making a stand on old stories that have authored our lives, that have authored our society. And Pluto here is just vibrating with this last energy. So as these two, though, are in sextile, one of the greatest benefits that I think that this particular aspect can offer us is perspective on healing. This is, there's a line, and it says, we will comprehend serenity and we will know peace. And I think that this is that. I think that this Pluto-Venus aspect is exactly that, because it allows us to deepen the level that we love from. It allows us to deepen the level that we attract things into our life from. It allows us to level up. When we deepen, we can also typically level up as well. So maybe a particular financial arrangement was good for you for a time and you're like, that won't work for me anymore. Maybe a certain level of romance was good for you for a time and you're like, that won't work for me anymore, right? So as these two are in sextile, you have an opportunity to not only have the opportunity presented to you, but you're intelligently going to it. So have you done your healing and your growth, and now someone's presenting themselves to you in your life and you're like, I'm ready to do it. I'm serious. I'm ready to take this on. I'm ready to go that deeper mile underneath this, right? Are you ready to take on a different earning opportunity in an existing relationship? Are you ready to go deeper? Maybe you're even connecting at the level of learning to love that person beyond the sex, sometimes through the sex, but beyond the sex, at the level of, where does their spirit need to be loved right now? Where am I loving into that spirit, right? For some of you, if sex has not been a thing, especially in your like long-term relationships, because when I think of Scorpio, I think of intense relationships, but also long-term relationships. And God knows Capricorn is about length, okay? So if some of you have not been doing the old peel and stick, this could be energy that helps you. It helps you. You're like, okay, it's been weird, but let's give it a try. Let's get in here. Let's just try a little something, and sometimes the little something you're trying is doing it at all, right? So what does this look like in your life? This is Scorpionic energy. So we're going to get to the level that is deeper. It's not just you gave me a cup of coffee to show me your tenderness. It's like, how quick can you take your clothes off, right? So whatever that looks like for you in your life, keep it private unless you get paid to not do that. This is going to be that aspect that I think helps turn these lessons into something more deep. There's more intensity, and because there's more intensity, there's more opportunity to level up with this energy as well. So woof, that is a lot for just early on Thursday, okay? Then we're going to see just behind that the moon gets into another void of course position. 1:26 p.m. to 1:59 p.m. is going to be the time. So just another short void of course moon, but take it on. Remember that the universe is kind and provides us opportunities to rest. After that, we'll see that Venus moves on out of this Scorpionic energy, and Venus moves into the vibration of Sagittarius. Having learned to very deeply attract new things at a more intense level into your life with that Venusian season, the tour through Scorpio, Venus moves into Sagittarius until November 11th and wants to take this new knowledge on the road. And I just want to give an example. So maybe you have learned, I am worthy I am worthy. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of attention. I am a safe and healthy sexual being. I am worthy of the attention of my partner in that way. Whatever. It's like I'm worthy deeply, and I'm also motivated to have a different experience. So now Venus in Sagittarius is going to start to pull those opportunities to you. If you're worthy of your pay, you're worthy of earning for your skill, Venus wants to go out and start to attract an opportunity to promote your business to a different audience that does want to pay you what you're worth for your skill, to different partners or different teachings, maybe with your current partner that say, yeah, you're both worthy. Or maybe for some of you, it's institutions of learning that you're going to, and you're literally pulling in the love of adventure. You're attracting it to you, something bigger and beyond what you were able to pull to you before. Really love that. Now, Venus is in Sagittarius, so you do have to watch your money. You do have to watch your money, right? It's like, yeah, you can go big or go home. And if you're in the position, right, like you do not have specifically credit card debt, because you've got credit card debt, take care of that debt first before you're getting into the investing, all of these other things, blah, 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 right? How it goes. But if you're in a position to make that wonderful investment, you may get a really, really awesome return on that because you're going big or going home. But other ways can be behaviors that keep your money not flowing to you, and you're spending a whole bunch of money. You're like, I feel good. Of course, I need some, where are we at? We're in Sagittarius. I need some clove, some mint, maybe a little cardamom. I needed that ice cream, even though it is $8 a cone, right? Like you're like, I'm worthy. And it's like, hold on. So watch your money a little bit as we're seeing the moon travel there. Now, or Venus travel there. Now, as we get just beyond that, we'll see the moon move into the vibration of Taurus. Again, we're bringing the mint ice cream up, because Taurus wants to have a little snacky snack. So as we're traveling with the moon in Taurus, it actually kind of starts to drop some of the emotional intensity because the moon moves into Earth, and you're going to go, I have got to ground. How do I ground this energy? What do I need to do to root to rise? What do I need to do to rest, to nurture myself, to pamper myself, to feel comfortable, right? We've been stretched outside of our comfort zones here. We've maybe had conversations where we had to boss up a little bit because it's Aries, and that, while powerful, can be uncomfortable, and we need a little sweetness of the comforts of life. So under this Taurian energy, things can start to settle a little bit. Just take care of yourself. Give yourself a little slow love, and be sensual. Taurus is a sensual, not a sexual sign, so move into your own sensuality as well. That energy is really going to carry us through the rest of Friday as well. And as we move into Saturday, it's not going to be until we get into the late afternoon, 1:33 going to 2:06 p.m. Mountain Time, that we'll have another void of course moon. So we've got 2 whole days to just settle with that Taurian energy before we rest. And then as we get to Saturday, 2:06 p.m., the moon moves into Gemini. Now we're willing to talk about everything that we've seen, we've learned, what have we shared, we're gathering information, we're maybe even getting ready to make decisions. We have more discernment, more clarity around the decisions that we need to make. And it's not that the information has been unclear. It's where the head and the heart have needed to get into the same space. They've needed to get into alignment. This is like the longest journey from the head to the heart, and to get those two on the same page can sometimes be a really, really long journey. So at this time, as the moon is moving these next couple days, you may be getting that emotional clarity that also aligns with the mental clarity, because ultimately the next question is going to be, no matter which direction that you head or you choose to go this week, right? What do you want to learn? What do you want to learn next? What's the honesty? What are some insights this week that have shown you want to learn this to go this direction? You want to gather information. You want to take classes. You want to have conversations because you're pulling in learning. I love this phrase, and it came from Ted Lasso. If you've never watched Ted Lasso, I highly recommend. But there's a moment where they're tense in the locker room, and Ted says, all right, what do I need to learn here? Tell me, because I need to see what I need to learn here. And it was just the most profound thing to me, because he stopped a whole conversation saying, okay, I'm missing something here. What do I need to learn? And I think that's a beautiful energy or a way to regard that here as we're traveling on Saturday. And that energy is also going to pull us into Sunday. Now, the other thing that here slightly on Sunday, we are going to see that the moon, not for very long, this is a square with Saturn. So more than getting whipped up on Sunday about anything, what I would say is if anything comes up for you and you feel like I'm still not clear, I'm still blocked, or I'm still feeling limited in some way, this is not going to be very long. The moon moves quite quickly. It will move on in a few hours, and then some of that unblocked energy or feeling, I think, comes back. But the other thing to keep in mind during that time is if you do feel blocked or you do feel limited, pivot. That is a skill of Gemini. Pivot. See it from a different perspective. Maybe you're blocked because the way you're trying to go about it is not energetically in alignment, but pivot and say, oh, okay, I just needed to see it from this direction. If not, what this energy can be during that few hours is it feels like worry is pouring over you. Gemini is a mutable energy. It can just feel like worry. And worry is not going to help you make any rational decisions, and it's certainly not going to help your neurological system and your body. So that energy will move on, my beautiful friends. All right, big week. Big week. What are you going to do with your resentments this week? You're going to keep taking that poison, waiting for the bank, your federal government, your sister-in-law, your mother, your ex from the past? Are you going to keep drinking the resentment and poison and waiting for them to die? Or is this a week where we can see what's going on with me? How do I release that? How do I move into the forgiveness? And what do I need to talk about in order to make sure that I'm setting my clear boundaries, I'm bossing up for myself, and I'm making sure that I'm participating in this world in the way that will allow me to have freedom, mostly freedom from resentment. All right, my beautiful friends, I love you a ton. Click in the description box for all kinds of goodies, to include the link to the video about the full moon in Aries. And I'm also going to put it right here so you can just click on the screen as well. I love you. Bye.